Okay, we are back. Before we move on any further, this only happens every once in a blue moon, so the moon must be, we must be expecting a blue moon this evening. But I do have to. I get on a roll, and there's often those times I get on a roll that I just need to leave it alone. But I do sincerely want to look into this camera and apologize to all, and I do have them. There's Tom. There's others. I want to apologize to every Nebraska Cornhusker fan out there. I want to sincerely ask and beg your forgiveness for what I have done. I'm sorry. That was wrong. I mean, I was talking about Whitaker, and he's from Iowa, and he played for the Iowa Hawkeyes in the Rose Bowl in 1991, and I'm just begging forgiveness. Could you ever, baby, please forgive me for what happened. It won't happen again. I promise. I promise. Okay, moving along. Groveling. Here, let's put this up, Josh. Let's go with this. This is what they're saying out there with me crying and groveling. Number 17. Please, just shut up. Please, just shut up. I'm sorry. All right, so Beauregard is headed home. He is gone, and we're going to go a different direction. Yes, we're going to go a different direction. Okay. We're not going to get into, there's two things I said to you. One, the President of the United States. So yesterday, what else? Tell me in my ear here, what other videos did I send you today? I said we had to start one at what time? All right, and then I got what? Okay, let's go to the press conference, and let's go. We're not going to go to the racist quite yet, but let's go to the press conference again yesterday. Okay, and President Trump comments. All right, he makes a couple comments that, you know, the media is more interested in Jim Acosta and the caravan and so on and so forth, and white nationalists and, you know, racism and all the above. That's their interest. But they missed Trump's takeaway, okay? Trump laid down that he will work with Democrats. Now, before all the Republicans get nervous that he's going to work with Democrats, okay, I know I have a lot of people that are upset. Okay? This really upset a lot of people. In all fairness, Nancy Pelosi deserves to be chosen Speaker of the House by the Democrats. If they give her a hard time, perhaps we will add some Republican votes. She has earned this great honor. Now, the Pelosi family are worth, what, $196 million? I mean, they're worth a lot. There's Mr. Pelosi out there, Mr. Pelosi. And there's a new Department of Justice that might look into where Mr. Pelosi's got all of his money throughout the years. Who is it? Department of Justice, Mr. Pelosi. Kind of interested in where you got the $196 million, the cold hard cash. Just say it. I just say it. What if Nancy has to make an effort with Donald J. Trump? You see, Donald said yesterday, you know what? We're kindly better off. I'm going to have to agree with him. You're not going to like this. You're not going to like this. We're kindly better off. Now, Republicans, let's talk to each other. Let's just say what has to be said. Now, do a gut check and go all the way back to John Boehner and then Paul Ryan and where we're at today, and ask yourself how much closer you are to fiscal responsibility. Don't cry. I mean, you act as though some out there that because the Democrats have the gavel And they will have to, and Nancy will be sitting up behind the president. I've shown that picture. I've shown the picture many times. Look at the visual. Nancy will be sitting behind the president of the United States when he gives an address to Congress. Okay? But some think that, the sky has fallen and things are shattered and we'll not be able to move on because we lost the House. And some may say, well, my favorite congressman will not be chairman of a committee. It's a big deal. The president said that yesterday. It's a big deal. But ask yourself, Republicans, are you going to actually be worse off as a having a fiscal responsible House with the Democrats in charge than you do the Republicans today? As many that get angry at me, I'm just asking you to ask yourself that question. Ask yourself if the Republicans have not spent an enormous amount of money, okay? Now, this is where I'm just a little different. I mean, no, you're wrong if you think that I'm going to come on here at any time and say Barack Obama just did this outstanding job for 8 years. I don't agree with that whatsoever. I don't agree that Barack Obama had anything really of a highlight in his presidency that I would agree with. But the first 2 years, Democrats were in charge. And then it was Republicans. Republicans sent him spending bills that were bloated. Republicans sent him budgets with no cuts. While they can argue all day long, okay, Republicans sent, now stop and think about this, relax, put the brakes on a little bit. Republicans sent Barack Obama everything he wanted. What's to say that the Democrats won't do the same? Now, obviously, it's not going to be exactly, because Democrats do know how to stay lockstep and resist. But who's to say the Democrat House will not send what President Trump will sign and that they can get through the Senate? Or will there just be total gridlock? But before you go and get too upset over the president's comments, I think, he said, hey, if we have a House of Representatives, okay, if we have a Republican House of Representatives and we only had to lead by 3 House seats, it's like herding cats. He said, I don't think we can get anything done there. I mean, look at the Tuesday group. Thank God Charlie Dent is leaving from the Tuesday Republicans. Charlie Dent is leaving, and they picked up Charlie Dent's seat. The Democrats picked up Charlie Dent's seat in Pennsylvania, okay? But Charlie Dent was, never a Trumper. They were never Trumpers, and they never did like Donald Trump. So ask yourself what good having the House of Representatives has done for you as a fiscal conservative, that you wanted Planned Parenthood defunded. Listen, Obamacare could have had all the funding stripped out. Okay? It's the Republicans' fault that they didn't get in 6 years something done and get it to where the president can have something ready to where they can run on health care. All right? It was the court that said the payments from Obamacare, you remember the subsidy payments from Obamacare? It was the Supreme Court that said that's against the law to subsidize. And Trump stopped the payments because it's against the law. But the House of Representatives had 6 years. So before you go and cry over your congressman losing their chairmanship on a committee, and before you go and cry that we won't have another rhino Speaker of the House, look, you got Obamacare, okay? You got Obamacare. I do not like Nancy Pelosi, on record. I cannot stand, she's crazy, she's crazy, okay? But please, take a minute and look at the omnibus spending bill. that John Boehner left on the desk that Paul Ryan pushed through. Look at all of these bills. The President of the United States in his own party said, I'm not happy with this last spending bill. I'm not happy with this. But you know what? Some people have come and advised me, all right? Some people have come and advised me, all right, that I don't need to shut the government down. It'd be bad for the elections. I don't know. Maybe I should. Maybe it would. I mean, remember that? The president said maybe I should shut the government down. But, you know, everybody's coming and, oh, Mr. President, please don't shut the government down. Please. He said, all right, you know, but I'm not going to keep doing this. So I agree with the President of the United States. So now yesterday he said, hey, the Democrats in the House, just try it. Try all the things. I've got the Senate. We have some leaks we can look at. We got some things we can look at. We have the power of the Senate. We may look at some things in the Senate. So you go ahead with the House. Now they want his tax returns and they want all this stuff already. He said, you know, I may be able to get more stuff with the Democrats. But here's what I think, okay? I think it's like this. I think what happens is the Republican House will have to go to Donald Trump. If they're smart, they can go to Donald Trump and say, the President of the United States, and the House can go to the President and say, we want this. Okay? Because if the Republicans in the House of Representatives go and tell Nancy Pelosi this is what we want, they're not going to get it. If they go to the President has more control now than he did actually a week ago. Because the House of Representatives will have to go to the President of the United States and say, look, here's what they're trying to get through. We want this. This is what we'll compromise on. All right? Then he will kick it down to the House and say, look, we'll get through this with the Senate, but here's what we want. I'm just telling you, there's a good possibility, and I do not like the word bipartisan. You know how I feel about that. But there's a good possibility that Trump can get more out of the Democrats right now than he could out of yesterday's Republicans. Because yesterday's Republicans had a whole lot of people that didn't like him to begin with. So quit crying over those yesterday Republicans and quit crying over the loss of the House of Representatives, because you got a House of Representatives that didn't like your president. Not all, but they didn't like him in the first place. And they paid the price. The Senate didn't pay the price. Didn't pay the price. Chuck Grassley stood his ground. I am not a Mitch McConnell fan, but Mitch McConnell stood his ground. And let me tell you something. They knew President Trump did the right thing. They stood their ground. And the Senate, Mitch McConnell's got the president's ear. I think that's vice versa. Chuck Grassley and all of them, David Perdue, they stood their ground. And they have a good Senate now. We have a good Senate now, much different than we did before. President Donald Trump has a lot to thank for. Marsha Blackburn in Tennessee. Holly out there in Missouri. Okay. Bill Nelson down in Florida. But let's roll the tape how Trump felt yesterday. Show me Mia Love first. You got a picture of Mia Love? All right, let's go with the video of Trump, and I'll tell you when to come back.
Of Minnesota, great guy, he's new, and ran a fantastic race. On the other hand, you had some that decided to, let's stay away. They did very poorly. I'm not sure that I should be happy or sad, but I feel just fine about it. Carlos Cubella, Mike Kaufman, too bad, Mike. Mia Love. I saw Mia Love. She'd call me all the time to help her with a hostage situation, being held hostage in Venezuela. But Mia Love gave me no love, and she lost. Too bad. Sorry about that, Mia. And Barbara Comstock was another one. I mean, I think she could have won that race, but she didn't want to have any embrace. For that, I don't blame her. But she She lost, substantially lost. Peter Roskam didn't want the embrace. Eric Paulson didn't want the embrace. And in New Jersey, I think he could have done well, but it didn't work out too good. Bob Eugen, I feel badly because I think that's something that could have been won. That's a race that could have been won. John Faso, those are some of the people that, decided for their own reason not to embrace whether it's me or what we stand for, but what we stand for meant a lot to most people. And we've had tremendous support, and tremendous support in the Republican Party, among the biggest support in the history of the party. I've actually heard at 93% it's a record, but I won't say that because who knows. But we've had tremendous support. America is booming like never before, doing fantastic. We have Larry Kudlow here, and he said the numbers are as good as he's ever seen numbers at any time for our country. But he's a young man, so he hasn't seen that many numbers. Where's Larry? You're a young man, right, Larry? And you haven't been doing this too long, but they're as good as you've ever seen. And we may have, if you have a question for Larry, we'll do that. But I want to send my warmest appreciation and regards to Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. We really worked very well together. We have been working very well together. We actually have a great relationship. People just don't understand that, which is fine. And also to perhaps, looks like, I would think, Speaker Nancy Pelosi. And I give her a lot of credit. She works very hard, and she's worked long and hard. I give her a great deal of credit for what she's done and what she's accomplished. Hopefully we can all work together next year to continue delivering for the American people, including on economic growth, infrastructure, trade, lowering the cost of prescription drugs. These are some of the things that the Democrats do want to work on, and I really believe we'll be able to do that. I think we're going to have a lot of reason to do it. And I will say, just as a matter of business, I was with some very successful people last night. We were watching the returns. So if the Republicans won, and let's say we held on by 2 or 1 or 3, it would have been very hard out of that many Republicans to ever even get support among Republicans, because there'll always be 1 or 2 or 3 people that, for good reason or for bad reason or for grandstanding, we have that too. You've seen that. You've seen that, plenty of grandstanding. But for certain reasons, that many people, you're always going to have a couple that won't do it. So that puts us in a very bad position. In other words, had we kept, and this is no, I'm saying this for a very basic reason, it's common sense. It puts us in a very tough position. We win by 1 or 2 or 3, and you'll have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 even come over and say, look, we're not going to go along with this. We want this, 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 and all of a sudden we wouldn't even be able to get it in many cases out of the Republicans' hands before we sent it on to the Senate. And now we have a much easier path, because the Democrats will come to us with a plan for infrastructure, a plan for health care, a plan for whatever they are looking at, and we'll negotiate. And as you know, it's been very hard in the Senate because we need essentially 10 votes from Democrats, and we don't get those votes because the Democrats do really stick together well. I don't agree with them on a lot of policy, but I agree with them on sticking together. They stick together great. So now we go into the Senate. We don't have the 10 votes. I have the 10 votes.
All right, folks. I could continue to play that to the President of the United States, explaining how he will get things done. And how if they try in the House, just try it. All right, don't screw with me. The President of the United States is in a better position today than he was last week with the House of Representatives. Just take your time, take your time, take your time. Okay? We know there's going to be, the Maxine Waters is going to do her own show. We know all that's going to happen, all right? So there you go. So you got some entertainment value. But The President of the United States is sitting in a good position today, whether you believe it or not. And other investigations are probably ready to start, which can keep some Democrats in check. Now, just in, I want to thank a viewer for notifying me. I just got this from a viewer. Just in, do you have that picture I asked you to look up? All right. Just in, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, 85 years old, has been hospitalized after breaking 3 ribs in a fall at court. All right. So today at court, there she is, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and we don't want to make light of this. You know, it's serious. She is a Supreme Court justice. She had a fall and she broke a rib, and I understand they've already launched an investigation that supposedly Brett Kavanaugh pushed her down the Supreme Court steps. Sorry, that wasn't me. Okay, just say it. I don't know. It's the old trip and fall accident. Why is everybody upset with me? Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg is in the hospital after falling in her office Wednesday night. The court announced in a statement on Thursday. Ginsburg, 85, went home after the fall but continued to experience discomfort overnight and went to the George Washington Hospital early Thursday. Tests revealed she fractured 3 ribs and she was admitted for observation and treatment, according to the statement. Ginsburg, the court's senior judge, has served on the court for more than 25 years after being appointed by Bill Clinton in 1993. She is considered one of the court's most liberal judges. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm just me and I'm not changing. You know what Trump said? You know what the first thing Trump said, Josh, when he found out Ginsburg was hospitalized? Get me that list. Where's the list? Get me, what's her name, Amy? Yeah. Get me Amy Coney Barrett on the line. Tell her to start practicing. Oh, by the way, the Senate, while we have Ruth on the screen, the Senate will no longer have Jeff Flake there to make a deal with Coons in a olive branch of compassion to give 1 week to further an FBI investigation into fraudulent accusations. Nothing about the accusations against Brett Kavanaugh were found to be true in any investigation whatsoever. Nothing. Not a thing. Zip, zero, zilch. That's right. So, that being said, we are going to move right along here. We can't go into Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but the Senate will not have Jeff Flake, all right, to keep, to make a deal. They will not have little Bobby Corker. They will not have any of that. The next Supreme Court justice will go right through. So don't get upset. There's 2 things I want to do when I come back. I promised a 9:30 segment on Gilmer County. No matter where you're at in the United States, I would like for you to hear this story, okay? No matter where you're at, so don't tune out. There's a little local story with big implications that I want you to pay attention to. So when we come back, we got 2 Gilmer County stories, one about a pay raise and one about a sports team that you want to stick around for. And then I want to talk about state Republicans before we close. I'm your host, BKP. Take us to break, Josh.